Hello and welcome to a very special edition of the Immigrant Magazine Weekly. Today's edition is about health and a show that hopefully will save lives. To some, HIV and AIDS is a normal thing and they live their lives. For others, it is still considered a death sentence surrounded by stigma. One man is on a mission to change that. And my guest today, filmmaker, writer and director Fax Bahr, has won many awards, has created many projects in TV and film. His upcoming documentary, Doin My Drugs, is the story of acclaimed Danish musician Thomas Buttenschøn, who was born HIV positive, and his crusade to use his music to wipe out AIDS in his native Zambia and beyond. I am glad to have him on Immigrant Magazine Weekly to discuss his involvement in this film and why it is important to share the story and to have all of us crusading to end HIV once and for all. Before we bring him on, I want you to please subscribe to our channel if you haven't done so yet, to like us so YouTube will share our videos, and to ring the notification bell so that you will be notified when we produce new content. So I want to welcome Mr. Fax Bahr on the show. Fax, you are a filmmaker, you're a writer, you're a director.
Yes.
Yes, you've done a lot of work.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
Tell me about some of your works. I was reading your credits. So many, Mad TV and Living Color and so many other favorites.
Yes, well, I've had sort of two different tracks. I'm originally a documentarian and did a film years ago about the making of Apocalypse Now called Hearts of Darkness, which very different than Doin My Drugs, of course. It was about Francis Coppola and his difficulties with making the film Apocalypse Now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've spent quite a bit of time in television comedy, actually. Doing a lot of sketch shows. I first was on In Living Color, which was a pretty groundbreaking show back in the 90s that really brought hip hop into mainstream American culture. It was a big hit, and it was very well received, and so I was very happy and proud to be on that show. And then went on to create some other sketch shows, and then since sort of I've been working my way back towards documentary and teamed up with Tyler to make Doin My Drugs.
Yeah, that's what I was getting at. So how did you get involved and why was this something that you wanted to do?
Well, Tyler approached me. We had been friends. We'd worked on a couple of and he was doing this project and he said, I'd like to have a producer. I'm directing and I'm kind of doing everything right now and I need somebody to take on some of the producing duties, and would you be interested? And I said, what's the subject material? And he told me about Thomas and Thomas's story, and I immediately said, absolutely, that's such an incredible story, and I'll do anything. I'd be happy to be part of this project.
Yeah, for some of us, and I'm from Africa, we can relate in terms of we have family, we've lost family to HIV and AIDS, and it's a shame. And so Thomas's story is it's a story that I hope will really take it out of the stigma. So you're American, aren't you? Are you? Yes. So as an American, do you think that this film could do something for the continent of Africa in terms of destigmatizing? What do you think?
I do, absolutely. It was said to us over and over again, especially with some of the activist musicians that we met with down there, that we got to know quite well and have become close friends. They were, they said, really, a guy in a suit or a doctor's coat is not going to get the message across. And that they use their music to do their educating of the people. And so somebody like Thomas, who's got a very young brand, his music is quite young and youth oriented. And so we felt like that would be a really effective way to get across the story of his life and to show people that you can live an absolutely normal, perfectly normal life, even if you're HIV positive, if you're properly medicated. So
absolutely.
Clearly so many people didn't know that there, and even here,
That
When
is
I was when Tyler first brought me on the project and I started reading more about AIDS, I had no idea that you could have a child the natural way, and if with HIV, and if you were properly medicated, there's no risk of passing it on to the child or to your partner, and then if you got pregnant, then to the child. I was astonished by that. That's something that I should know. I mean, and I think that if everybody were aware of that, it would make things much better in terms of HIV, the fear of HIV and AIDS.
absolutely. And I'm glad you talk about the fear, because besides the stigma, there's the personal fear that people experience once you get that diagnosis, that of revelation after the test, that you're positive. People are afraid, am I going to die, and all of that kind of thing. So yeah. So did anything stand out for you in Africa? I'm taking you went to Zambia as well. Did you go to Zambia?
Oh yes, yeah. Went 3 or 4 times to Zambia.
Okay. So what stood out for you in terms of the misconceptions about this virus?
Well, two days that we shot were most impactful for me. One was when Thomas went to see his mother's sisters, his aunties, in Lusaka, and they had it was one of their birthdays, I think. And we asked if we could come and film, and they graciously said, yes, you can. And when they sat down to talk about Thomas's mother, it became quite clear that they didn't know that she died of HIV, that they'd been told it was malaria, and they'd accepted it. And my sense being in the room was that they sort of knew down deep truth was, but Thomas came out and told them, and their first reaction was shock, and then relief, I think, that they finally knew the truth. And then they seemed to be energized about getting the truth out there. And I think that's true with anything where something has been suppressed and then finally it sees the light of day and people suddenly get excited about getting that word out.
Yeah. As a producer, did you get a sense that they probably knew? But because when I watched the documentary, I realized, the general attitude towards, someone passing on will say died of malaria or died of liver disease or something. So maybe they knew, and this was just liberating to have to then not have to suppress it.
I think that's the case. So, I mean, in the scene you watch Thomas's Aunt Dorothy, and she says, they say she died of malaria, almost like she knows that wasn't the truth, and almost inviting him to tell her the truth. And I'm sure that's very prevalent throughout Africa, where this is such a devastating and developmentally impactful in a negative way on so much of the population. And I think people suspect and know and are dying to bring it out into the open.
Yeah. So really, I wanted to find out from you. You work with a lot of artists. What do you think arts can play in educating on such an important issue?
Well, my only experience was in Zambia, but as I said before, the musicians that we encountered and worked with were all had been using music to get their messages. And it's Zambia is a conservative country. I think the media is closely watched. There's a state television channel, and I think people are very afraid of going against the sort of sanctioned information that's out there. And so music is a natural way to get that information out without in a very effective way.
Yeah. Well, what about through film? Film, I would consider film a form of art. Is that
Absolutely. I think this film will have a real impact in Zambia. I think it'll be quite popular because I think it shows the country in a very positive light. I think, Tyler spent a lot of time showing the joy and the youthfulness of I'm not sure what the demographic statistics are, but it's such a youthful country, as is so much of sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
And so it was the people. And so we were, you know, it was really, I'm sorry, I missed the question again. What's the question again?
Asking, given
I got off on
as a filmmaker,
Oh,
you are.
film.
Yes.
So I think that when people see the film, when Zambians see the film and see themselves portrayed in this positive way, and then see some of their own mentors, Michael Zulu and Sister D and John Chiti and Biflo and Danny, collaborating with Thomas and hearing Thomas's story, I think it will be enlightening and freeing for
Right.
people.
Do you think that, you know, there's always the conception that every time a story is being told about Africa, it's about the negative, but this is a story you think will be different?
I do. I think it's a very positive story. I think Thomas's whole energy is positivity and saying, look, I, you know, have this disease, I have this virus, I'm not ashamed of it. There's no reason to be ashamed of it. It's just something that happens. It's bad luck. Look at the richness of my life. As I've accepted it, become properly medicated, I can go on to live a very full, artistically enriched life, and so can you.
Right. So what part did you play in bringing this to fruition, this whole project together?
Well, Tyler and I discussed approaches and what to do, and there was a lot of logistical things to put together. We came up with this idea for the concert as a way of sort of ending the film and how to make that. I think Thomas might have been the one who said, "Oh, maybe we should make the concert a test for tickets," which was such a revelation and such a way to take this messaging forward. So it was a lot of logistical, just making sure that we got the cameras in the right place at the right time, and talking about the general approach and how to shoot things. And
so. How did your time there and doing this project, how did it impact you on a personal level?
Well, I fell in love with Zambia. I think it's a wonderful country. It's I found the people to be extremely optimistic and forward-looking and resourceful and so talented. The music that was, you know, we're witness to and we're able to participate in was just wonderful. So I feel connected to Zambia.
That's amazing.
Because of this experience.
Yes. So are you happy you were part of this journey, and how can some of us support this project?
Oh, very, very happy with it. And, you know, really excited about the future because, you know, it's always been our idea that this film is just a first step. Right. And the film can be used as a tool to, you know, forward this idea of getting rid of stigma and getting yourself tested, knowing your status. And then if you're positive, finding a way to get medicated and into a program where you can live a full life. And as we were going, we recognized, or we've come up with a plan to take the film on tour. Taking the test for tickets paradigm that we established as the end of the film and using that as a series of tours throughout Zambia to take the film and musicians, both local musicians and some of the, you know, stars from Lusaka and Thomas occasionally, and setting up concerts and film screenings in cities throughout Zambia. And along with it, testing. So we test as many people as we can in every city. So we're in a city for a week or so and we do testing, and then we end it with a concert and a screening of the film, and then pack up our little caravan of trucks and move on to the next city.
That's such a brilliant idea. Test for tickets. You don't get tested, you don't attend the concert, right?
That's right. That's
Yes. How have you been able to measure the impact of that method of doing the test for the tickets? What were the results?
Yes, we tested 10,802 people in the course of 3 weeks leading
Wow.
up to the concert. So, we worked with hand in hand with the AIDS Healthcare Foundation and the Zambian Ministry of Health, and they all were very impressed with the number of, they're very statistic oriented, like how many did you get tested? And they seem to be very pleased with that. And so we hope to, if we get funded, replicate that that testing model and getting as many Zambians tested as possible and into programs.
Well, it's such a wonderful film. I watched it. It's exciting. It's not a downer, even though it's about HIV and AIDS. It's not a downer. It's very uplifting. And I hope that this film, that what you guys have done, can be duplicated for other African countries, because not just Zambians are dying. So
yeah, and everywhere. We'd like to take it everywhere around the world, including the US, where rates are going up in the South.
Right.
We like it's, even though it's a story about one specific country, it's a universal story. Absolutely. That we can, use in countries everywhere.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. How can audiences see the film, and what can we do to support? How can they support you?
Well, it's premiering streaming on World AIDS Day, December 1st. So in a little over a week, and it's on. I have the list with me. Let me see here.
Their website, maybe it's a website they can get more information.
Well, doinmydrugs.com.
Okay.
There's doinmydrugs.com people can go to, and you can also, there's a soundtrack album that's quite beautiful that accompanies the film, right. And you can download it there. And and then in terms of, that's North American distribution, and we've got sales agents out trying to sell this all around the world. So I don't know if your audience is beyond America, but look for it.
Yeah, we're living in virtual digital time, so there's no limit to where information can travel. So there's no limitation.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. I'm just hoping that this film will touch many people, touch many hearts, and most importantly, save lives and accomplish the mission that Thomas set out to accomplish, which is to eradicate this thing.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for helping spread the word. We need you to help us.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much, Fax, and talk to you all the time.
Pleasure to meet you.
Back. My pleasure.
Okay. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye. Take care.
We've come to the end of our show. Thank you so very much for joining me today. I would love to hear what you think about our discussion. So please share your thoughts in our comment section, or send me an email to publisher@immigrantmagazine.com. Now be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram @Anchang, and like us on Facebook, The Immigrant Magazine. See you next time on The Immigrant Magazine.